Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
Kenzie's Krimes.
Milwaukee police found body parts in a North Side apartment.
Not because I was angry with them, not because I hated them, but because I wanted to keep them with me.
Believe me, if I started murdering people, there'd be none of you left.
This is evil, what those people have done to me.
C says Heaven's Gate awaiting.
I'm not guilty.
Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101 with another edition of Kenzie's Krimes, a deep dive into a local murder, mystery, or drama. And myself and Case don't know what Kenzie's bringing to the table, just like you. So we're all going to sit back and listen to a story. Let's go, Kenzie.
So I'm going to do something a little different today. Every once in a while, when there's a huge story that's taking over the nation, we do address it. So today, we're going to do a deep dive into Amy Bradley. Amy Lynn Bradley was born May 12, 1974 in Petersburg, Virginia. Her brother Brad joined the family 2 years later. And when Amy was 23 years old, her father won a trip through work. It was a 7-day Caribbean cruise for the whole family. March 23rd, 1998 was the third night of the cruise. After the fancy dinner, there was a pool party and limbo contest on the deck.
Fun.
Okay.
Trace, you ever limbo?
I am not the most limber of guys. Limbo, not really for me.
You sound excited about it here at a limbo contest.
Well, I like the idea of having fun. It's just not something that I typically
Yeah,
experience.
that he gets to dive into.
I love the concept of fun, though.
So after the pool party and limbo contest, which Brad won, by the way, and he got a crown, so he did
Damn.
excellent. Amy and him went to the ship's disco party. The parents were out at this point. So 3:35 a.m., Amy's brother Brad came back to the room. And at 3:40, Amy entered the room. They both went out on the balcony to kind of like hang out. After a little bit, Brad's like, I'm going to bed. And Amy decided to stay out on the balcony because she didn't feel the best. Now, Amy's dad, Ron, woke up at 5:30 in the morning and he didn't see Amy in the room, and he peered out and noticed she was laying on one of the lounge chairs on the balcony. Right at 6 a.m., he wakes up again and his daughter is no longer on the balcony. And he thought it was weird. And he's like, you know what? She may have went upstairs to watch the sunrise or grab breakfast or whatever. And after walking around a little bit looking and he didn't see her, he went back to the room and told his wife that he can't find Amy. The boat is about to dock at Curacao. You know, like they're getting really concerned about the idea of this ship docking and they can't find their daughter. And they beg them, please do not allow people off the ship until we find her. The cruise ship did not acquiesce to that. They let everybody off the ship. The staff does a search drill and says, listen, she is the 1,000% not on this boat. She probably fell off. You didn't see her. That's how they feel. And they're like, you know what? We would have known that if you didn't let everybody off of the boat. They alert local authorities. So they had helicopters and boats searching, and they did not find one. The boat redocks and leaves. Agents interviewed the family together as well as separately. No evidence led them to believe that a family member was involved in her missing. So flyers finally get posted that she was missing on the boat. And one of the passengers was actually filming in the disco the night of the club. So he went through his tapes diligently and he found footage of her dancing with a man named Yellow. He was a bass player who played on the pool deck. Another passenger saw her the morning she went missing. She said that she saw Amy with Yellow taking the glass elevator up to that disco club in the morning. And then she said she saw Yellow 15 minutes later, looking kind of stressed, walking across the deck of the ship alone. Agents gave a polygraph test to Yellow, but the results came back inconclusive, but they claimed he was very bothered and irritated during the entire interview. So the family decides to fly home from St. Thomas instead of completing the cruise in Puerto Rico at the 7-day mark because they thought that they would get like swarmed with media. Upon the plane landing, they had tons of family waiting at home. They held a prayer vigil and they started a command center to like find their daughter. On April 17th, 1998, 2.5 weeks after she disappeared, the brother and father go back to Curacao for a press conference. So the reward was up really heavy, over $200,000 at this time.
Wow.
When the family was there and did the press conference, a taxi driver came up to them and said, your daughter is on this island. She approached me in my taxi frantically. I recognized her tattoo in her eyes. I'll never forget her eyes, is what he said. And he said she asked me where the phones were, and when I showed her, she ended up going in a different direction.
Wow.
Basically saying she looked scared, she looked freaked out. So he told him a few areas that he needed to visit, and they contacted the local police who said, those are the most dangerous areas around here, known for drug and human trafficking. We will go with you.
Wow.
So they searched those areas. They're going in different places. Unfortunately, they weren't able to find anything, even though they followed a car, because Brad felt like he heard Amy's voice in it, and it still led to nothing, which devastated the family. They contacted America's Most Wanted. August 1998, 6 months after she went missing, they had one of their first eyewitnesses. I'm going to pause right there because the stories that start pouring in give me the absolute chills.
Wow. When we come back, the conclusion of this week's Kenzie's Crimes with Brian and Kenzie on Q101, just about 3 minutes away.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101 with the conclusion to this week's Kenzie's Crimes. Not a Chicago-based crime, but it's one that's kind of captivated the country right now with the documentaries that are out. But you can catch us up, Kenzie, real quick if you can.
Yes, so Amy Bradley, I'm sure you've seen the tidbits of the story. She was on a 7-day cruise with her family. She disappeared on that 4th day of the cruise. Some people think that she fell overboard, where others think that she was human trafficked off of the ship. They get Amy's information out there with America's Most Wanted, and a man calls in and said that he was in Curacao 6 months earlier. He was at Porto Marie, which is a really small area to go diving. He remembers it vividly because it was a girl walking in the middle with 2 guys around her. And green eyes, athletic build, Tasmanian devil tattoo on her shoulder with the basketball spinning because he thought that was a strange tattoo. The girl made eye contact with him and looked like she was going to say something when the guy next to her got aggressive and like kind of pushed her away and pushed her forward. The guy then made eye contact with him, glaring, and he said it was so vivid he'll never forget it because it was jarring, like came across as mad, and I'm just standing here. It really kind of freaked him out. And he said he could 100% identify that man as Yellow.
What?
He recognized him as the guy on the boat she was maybe last seen with, according to eyewitnesses.
Yellow, the bass player, with his, his slapping technique is pretty identifiable.
Yellow, the bass player. So that man contacted the FBI, and another eyewitness poured in January 1999, 10 months after Amy went missing. So this guy was currently serving, and he was in like the Barbados, Curacao area. And he said a seedy bar, which he wasn't allowed to be at because he was currently serving. And when he got there, he realized there was prostitutes on site. One of them came up to him, said, "My name is Amy. I'm being held here against my will. I have no money, so I can't escape. Please tell people if you look me up, I was on vacation with my family on a cruise, and somebody who I thought was my friend offered to get me drugs, and I walked off the ship with him."
Whoa.
Is what he claimed. And then I was human trafficked. That's what she told him. He said he didn't necessarily believe her because a lot of women try to get money. And I'm like, well, she didn't even ask you for money. So she asked you to tell people. And then he didn't turn in that information for a few years because he didn't want to get in trouble because it would have lowered like his ranking and payout. So he turns in that information years later. They do circle back on that bar. But guess what? Human trafficking doesn't, they don't set up a business with a site out front and sit out there for years. So she was not there. But they did get a valid email in 2005, 7 years after Amy has gone missing. Someone sent them photos from an adult prostitution site in the Caribbean, and the photos looked very, very, very much so like Amy, their daughter. They did have a forensic analyst do like side-by-side photos to analyze things like cheekbones placement, things that don't change over time. And the forensic analyst confirmed that they did believe it to be the same woman. Now, this story, after the photos come out, gets put on Dr. Phil, and another eyewitness comes forward. A woman was in Barbados and on a cruise as well, and she went to a gift shop on land, like when you get off the boat. So she went to a gift shop and she went to the bathroom. She was in the bathroom in a stall, and all of a sudden she hears men come in the bathroom. And they're yelling at a woman. And they're like, "Listen, the deal's going down at 11. This is what's happening. You're going to behave. You're going to do that, like all this stuff." And she's like, "But can I see the kids before?" And he goes, "Yes, we'll take you to see the kids if you behave." And then she heard the door open and leave. So then she comes out, and the woman with the Tasmanian devil tattoo and the hair and the green eyes is crying at the sink. And she goes, "Hi, are you on vacation here?" And she goes, and she shakes her head no. And she goes, "Do you live here?" And she shakes her head no. And she goes, "What's your name?" And she said, "Amy."
Wow.
And she goes, "I know that because my daughter's name is Amy. And I said that's my daughter's name." So it wasn't like, I think it was Amy. She knew. And then she said, "Where are you from?" And she couldn't really hear her. But then she said Amy all of a sudden started to seem kind of aggressive and walk towards her. And it freaked her out, so she exited the bathroom where the men were standing outside. Then the men walked back in, grabbed her arms, and practically dragged her out. Thought process being, maybe Amy thought, "You're doing so much talking, I'm going to like get the crap beat out of me because they're going to think I'm telling you things." So scary. And now it comes into play, who are these children? Does Amy have kids. And that's one of the reasons human traffickers do sometimes allow people to have kids, because it keeps them tied to the island and it keeps a very valid threat of them behaving.
Wow.
FBI agents did visit that place in Barbados. Of course, there is no security camera, so they weren't able to check up on that and get a for sure confirmation it was her. Now, April 2017, Yellow's daughter calls about Amy Bradley. Her name's Amika. She was super close with her dad. Her mom told her later in life that if she Googles her dad, she's going to get a lot of bad information. Her mom claims that after the father got into the cruise ship business, it changed him and he started to carry around a very dark energy, which is why they got divorced. He also came home with a bag one night full of pictures of women, Caucasian ones from the cruise ship. And the mom questioned about it and he would just get mad and say, because he was in the band, they're taking group pictures, but his suitcase full of photos. Amika asked what happened with Amy. She directly confronted her father about it. She said that he gets really aggressive. The story's missing a lot of details, but to this day, he adamantly denies having anything to do with it.
Wow.
2018, 20 years after her disappearance, age progression photos of Amy are released. An eyewitness and a true crime connoisseur starts to catch wind of this and makes a website called amyismissing.com. And when he did that, he put in a personal page where he included family updates. The family still has Amy's car. They took care of her dog when she disappeared. Just all these sweet things. And he has a whole page of like these updates of them on holidays and stuff. He decided he's going to start checking the IP address. So people checking in from different areas. Bridgetown, Barbados was one of the last known eyewitness sightings of her. The IP pings were happening from there on birthdays, anniversaries, Christmases, and Thanksgivings. Birthdays that only mean something to her, anniversaries that only mean something to her. And the site keeps getting visited only on that personal family page. That's where that person's going. And they're sitting on it for over 45 minutes on those holidays.
Wow.
So they believe that either people who were involved in kidnapping her and human trafficking her are checking to see what's going on, or Amy's checking in on her family. And again, if you're thinking, well, if she has that kind of internet access, maybe she could just leave. Why isn't she emailing people? If they have her kids and that's a direct threat, and she also has no money to like get out with her, she can't just flee. She have to flee with children. There is a chance that she feels very trapped and is living in that circumstance. So some people to this day think that she jumped or fell. Some believe that she was trafficked and is still being trafficked to this day. Some believe that she has children on the island, and that is why she has chosen to try not to flee. Amy Bradley's case is an open investigation. Please contact the FBI with any information or tips that you have.
Kenzie's Krimes.
Milwaukee police found body parts in a North Side apartment.
Not because I was angry with them, not because I hated them, but because I wanted to keep them with me.
Believe me, if I started murdering people, there'd be none of you left.
This is evil, what those people have done to me.
C says Heaven's Gate away team.
I'm not guilty.
Q101.
Well, there you go. Another edition of Kenzie's Krimes. Chilling. And it ties in very well with the Netflix doc on Amy right now. So you can go back and listen to it anytime you want on the Brian and Kenzie podcast. If you missed any part of it, anytime, anywhere, you can go back and listen to all of it. The entire show with Brian and Kenzie on the Brian and Kenzie podcast. Coming up, we got music entertainment news. We will lead off with the headline that Q101's Golden Ticket is back. We'll tell you the where, the when, the what, and why you need to be there to get every show. Get into every show for a year. We'll tell you how you can do it. It's very simple. Coming up next.
Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.